Have you ever just stopped and thought, why is English basically everywhere?
It's a good question.
Yeah, like you're in an international business meeting, people calling in from all over, or you land in an airport somewhere totally new.
And the signs are in English.
Exactly. Or just think about websites, movies, music. So much of it seems to come from English. It's just constantly there.
It really is remarkable, isn't it? How deeply it's woven into, well, so many different parts of global life.
Absolutely. And that brings us right to what we want to dive into today. English as a global language.
hmm
And look, if you're listening, maybe you're learning English yourself, really wrestling with it sometimes.
Which many people are.
Right. Understanding why it's so global, that gives you a whole different perspective. It's not just, about passing a test or memorizing verbs.
It's about the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's seeing how this language can actually open doors for you, like genuinely new opportunities. Think about traveling more easily, maybe better job prospects, or just, enjoying international films or music directly.
Exactly. It connects the sometimes hard work of learning to real-world benefits, those connections it helps you make.
So our plan for this deep dive is to explore why. Why did English end up in this position? We'll use our sources to figure out the reasons behind its global status and how it really connects people all over the world.
Sounds good.
Okay, so maybe starting with the basics. What does it actually mean for a language to be global?
Well, fundamentally, a global language is one that people use to communicate across different countries, across different cultures,
Yeah.
especially when they don't share the same native language.
So it acts like a bridge.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
Yeah.
A bridge connecting people who otherwise wouldn't be able to easily communicate. It's like a common ground.
A common linguistic ground. Makes sense, even if it's nobody's first language in the room, maybe.
Precisely. It offers that practical way to connect when, speaking Japanese to a Brazilian or vice versa isn't really an option for most.
Okay. So what pushed English into that role? What are the main drivers?
Well, several big factors. We could start with just how widely it's spread geographically.
Right, where it's the main language.
Exactly. You've got the big ones, of course, the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. It's the official language there. That's a huge base of native speakers.
A pretty significant chunk of the globe, economically and culturally speaking.
It is. But, importantly, its influence goes way beyond those countries.
How so?
Well, in many other places, even if it isn't the first language people grow up speaking, English is often really crucial in key areas. Think education, government, business.
Ah, okay. So places like India or Singapore.
India, Singapore, South Africa, the Philippines. Loads of examples. In these places, knowing English is often really important for, say, getting a good education or a better job, participating fully in certain sectors.
So it's not just where people are born speaking it, but where it's used for important stuff.
Exactly right. And maybe even more important than that, English is the most commonly learned second language in the world, by far.
Right. Millions and millions of people learning it.
Yeah, actively studying it specifically so they can talk to people from totally different language backgrounds.
That link language idea again?
Precisely. Like that Japan-Brazil business example. The common factor isn't likely to be Portuguese or Japanese.
It's gonna be English.
Much more likely, yes. It's the practical go-between.
Okay. Geography, second language learning. What about history? That must play a part.
Oh, a huge part. You can't really ignore the historical factors.
The British Empire, I assume.
Absolutely. Back in the 18th and 19th centuries, the empire spread English all over the globe. That laid a massive foundation.
So it planted the seeds, so to speak.
It did. And then later on, in the 20th century, you had the rise of the United States as a global superpower.
Right. Economically, culturally.
Exactly. And that really boosted English, especially in areas like international business, new technology, and of course, entertainment. Think Hollywood.
So history gave it a head start, and then modern power dynamics kept it going.
That's a good way to put it. History provided the initial spread, and then U.S. influence particularly amplified it. But, and this is important,
Yes.
history isn't the only reason it's still so dominant now. It stays relevant because it's incredibly useful in key areas today.
Okay, let's break those down. What areas are we talking about?
Well, let's start with business. International companies, doesn't matter where they're based, often use English as their kind of standard language for meetings, emails, making deals.
Even if it's, say, a German company talking to a Japanese one.
Often, yes. It's just the most practical way to connect with international clients, partners, suppliers. Knowing English is frequently a must-have.
It's become the default language of global trade, almost.
Pretty much, yeah. Then there's education.
Right, universities.
Yeah, loads of universities all around the world, even in countries where English isn't the main language, offer courses, sometimes whole degrees, in English.
Why do they do that?
Well, it attracts international students, for one. But it also gives everyone access to global research, international academic conversations. It makes studying abroad and sharing knowledge much easier.
So it connects the academic world globally. What about outside work and study, like just regular life?
Travel is a huge one. Think about airports.
Signs, announcements, mostly English, alongside the local language.
Exactly. And hotels, taxi drivers, tour guides in tourist spots. Many will have some level of English because they deal with international visitors all the time.
It makes sense. It definitely makes traveling feel less intimidating if you can communicate a bit.
Absolutely. It makes it easier, safer too. Then you've got technology and the internet. This is massive.
How so?
Well, estimates are that something like 50% of all websites are in English.
60%. Wow.
Yeah, it's huge. Plus, think about social media platforms, popular apps, software, even the instructions for coding. So much of it is primarily in English.
That's a really dominant position in the digital world. Does that cause any issues, like for other languages?
That's actually a really important point. It does raise questions about, digital equality, making sure other languages don't get left behind online. It's a complex side effect of this dominance.
Okay. And the last area?
Entertainment. Hollywood movies are global, right?
Definitely.
And English language music, best-selling books, TV shows streamed everywhere. They often start in English and then get translated or subtitled.
And people consume this stuff everywhere, sometimes without even thinking about the language aspect.
Right, and it's not just passive fun either. A lot of people actually use movies or music to help them learn English, improve their skills.
Huh. So it feeds back into itself.
Exactly. So it's this powerful mix. The history plus its ongoing usefulness in business, education, travel, tech, and entertainment. That's what keeps it in that global language role.
It's like a reinforcing cycle. The more it's used, the more useful it becomes, so the more people learn and use it.
Precisely. A dynamic process.
Okay, so we've got the why. Now, let's dig a bit deeper into how widely it's used, especially in places where it's not the first language. Can you give us a clear picture of that day-to-day integration?
Yeah, it's really quite pervasive. It's not just confined to those English-speaking countries at all. It's woven into daily life globally.
Like in the workplace?
Definitely. Building on what we said, think about multinational companies. That German car maker communicating with its Korean branch, likely doing it in English.
The common ground again.
Right. International conferences, trade fairs, English is usually the main language. And if you're looking for a job that involves international contact,
English on your CV is a big plus.
often it's not just a plus, it's a requirement. You'll likely be interviewed in English, need to write reports in English. It's a key skill for the global job market.
Okay. What about education beyond just the top famous universities?
Well, even many local universities in non-English speaking countries offer some programs or specific courses in English. It helps them compete internationally, gives local students exposure.
And then there's all the online learning.
Huge amounts. Platforms like Coursera, EDX, vast numbers of courses, videos, study materials are primarily in English. So knowing English gives you access to a world of knowledge online.
It kind of democratizes access in a way for those who have the English skills.
In a sense, yes. Now, thinking about travel again, beyond just reading signs, if you speak English well,
You can have actual conversations.
exactly. You can ask for recommendations, understand local perspectives better, handle unexpected problems more easily. It just makes the whole experience richer, more confident. You move beyond just basic survival.
From just getting by to actually connecting.
That's a great way to put it. And the digital world, too. While there are efforts to make the internet more multilingual, which is really important,
The sheer volume of English content is still there.
it is. So being able to navigate that gives you a massive advantage for research, for learning, for joining online communities, for understanding new tech. Even in fields like coding or data science, English is often the language of the documentation, the forums, the collaboration tools.
It's sort of the language of digital innovation still.
To a large extent, yes. And finally, back to entertainment and media. Sure, things get translated or dubbed.
But it's not always the same, is it?
Often not. You can lose nuances, cultural references, the specific rhythm or humor of the original language. Experiencing films, music, books in the original English offers a maybe deeper appreciation. Plus, as we said, great practice for learners.
So, seeing it integrated so deeply, work, study, travel, online, culture, it really drives home why learning it feels so valuable to so many people.
Absolutely. It's a skill set with very real, tangible benefits across so many areas of life today.
Okay, this paints a really clear picture of why English is so significant globally. But let's pivot directly to you, the listener, especially if you're the one putting in the hours learning. You might still think, okay, fine, but it's hard. Is my own language not enough?
And that's a totally fair question to ask. I think the answer comes down to the sheer range of opportunities that English can open up,
Yeah.
things that might just not be possible otherwise.
Let's get specific. Job opportunities.
Right. We touched on this, but many international companies actively prefer or even require English skills. So whether you dream of working for a big global brand or maybe in tourism, hospitality, translation, even teaching English itself,
Having it on your CV makes a real
the
difference.
concrete difference. It signals you can operate in that wider international context.
Mhm.
Employers notice that.
And what about studying? You mentioned the big names like Harvard, Oxford.
Yes, places like Harvard, Oxford, MIT. The language of instruction is English. You'll almost certainly need to prove your English level with tests like IELTS or TOEFL to even get considered for admission.
So it's a gatekeeper in that sense.
It can be. But even if you study closer to home, in your own country, you might find many of the latest textbooks, research papers, online resources are in English first. So it helps you access the most current knowledge.
Okay. Travel, we talked about making it easier. What's the core benefit there for the learner?
I think it boils down to confidence and reduced stress. Imagine navigating a new city, ordering food, asking for help when you need it, and feeling capable of doing that in English.
Instead of feeling lost or anxious.
Exactly. It just makes the whole experience smoother, more enjoyable. You feel more empowered to explore.
And connecting with people beyond just travel.
Oh, yeah. Think about online spaces.
Mhm.
Social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, forums, gaming communities. English is often the common language used.
So you can join conversations, groups.
Make friends, share ideas with people from totally different backgrounds all over the world. And that extends to real life, too, chatting with tourists in your city, connecting with international students or colleagues.
It breaks down those communication barriers.
It really does foster that sense of global connection. Then there's accessing information and technology. We mentioned the web stat.
Over half the internet in English.
Right. So if you can read English well, you have access to a vastly larger pool of information for research, for learning new skills online, for understanding tech trends. And as we said, lots of software apps, coding languages rely heavily on English.
So it's key to navigating the modern digital world effectively.
Pretty much indispensable in many ways. And for culture vultures,
Mhm.
enjoying movies, music, books.
In the original language.
Yes, you often get the original meaning, the emotion, the specific humor or wordplay that sometimes gets a bit lost in translation.
A richer experience.
Definitely. And again, it's fantastic practice, improving your listening, picking up new vocabulary in a fun way.
Okay, and you mentioned one more benefit, maybe less tangible.
Yeah, and it's a big one for many learners.
Hmm.
Just the boost in, well, self-confidence. There's a real sense of achievement in mastering a language that's used globally. Being able to communicate effectively in English can make you feel more comfortable talking to strangers, joining international events, expressing your ideas to a wider audience. It builds confidence step by step.
That feeling of, I can do this.
Exactly. It's genuinely empowering.
Now that's all really motivating. But let's be real for a second. For anyone listening who's learning English, it's tough sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
You get tired, confused, frustrated, maybe you're scared of making mistakes. What would you say to someone feeling that way right now?
First off, that it's completely, totally normal to feel that way. Language learning isn't a straight line upwards. It has ups and downs.
Everyone feels like that sometimes.
Pretty much everyone, yes. The key thing is to remember that every little bit of effort counts. Every single step you take brings you closer.
So focus on the small wins.
Definitely. Acknowledge your progress. Did you learn a new word today? Did you understand a sentence you didn't before? Did you manage to say something you were practicing? Those are real achievements.
And the mistakes. People worry so much about mistakes.
Mistakes are not failures, honestly. They're actually how you learn. They show you where you need to adjust. Don't let the fear of sounding silly stop you from trying, from speaking.
Easier said than done sometimes.
I know. But try to see them as learning opportunities. And consistency really helps. Even just 15-20 minutes of practice each day adds up massively over time.
Keep the momentum going.
Exactly. And try to keep the why in mind. Remember those benefits we talked about, the job opportunities, the travel, the connections? That can help push you through the tough patches.
Believe in yourself.
Yes, believe you can do it. Stay curious. Keep practicing. You are definitely stronger and more capable than you probably think. English really can be a key to a brighter future for many people.
That's really valuable encouragement, I think.
It's such a worthwhile skill to develop.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main thing you hope listeners take away about English as a global language, and maybe about their own learning journey?
I think the most important message is that learning English, well, it's a journey, isn't it? It's not some kind of race with a finish line you have to cross.
Oh, it's a process.
Exactly. It's about continuous growth, discovery. So try to embrace that process. Celebrate the milestones, however small they seem. Don't get too hung up on the setbacks.
Value every step.
Yeah, value every new word, every sentence you manage to put together, even those mistakes we talked about. They're all part of becoming fluent.
So shift the mindset from pressure to progress.
Precisely. Keep a positive attitude if you can.
Yeah.
Trust that the effort you're putting in will pay off. And remember, you're definitely not alone in this.
Millions of people learning worldwide.
Millions. It's a huge global community, all working towards similar goals.
A nice thought, actually.
It is. So yeah, just keep practicing, keep listening, keep speaking, even if it's just a little bit. Remember, English isn't just, grammar rules and vocabulary.
Yeah?
It really is a key to a world full of opportunities, connections, experiences.
You've got this.
Absolutely have got this.